Shabbat Tov, everybody. I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief brought to you by Lay of the Land. And welcome to our many new subscribers, many new community members. This is where you get your top stories from Israel every Monday to Thursday. Now, I know many of you complain that the mainstream media is biased or not giving Israel's account. Well, rest assured, we're going to give it to you fresh from Israel. If you can hear the dings in the background, that's news of a rocket attack somewhere in the country. It's important to note that we are still getting rocket attacks. On Friday night, there was quite a massive bombardment to where I am in Modi'in, and let me tell you, it was quite frightening. And you can hear by the volume of dings that this is quite a significant bombardment. I am in my shelter, so if sirens do go off here, I will continue to broadcast. So let's take a look at developments on the war between Israel and Hamas. And we begin with Friday night. The IDF announced that they would be expanding their ground offensive. Now, they stopped short of saying this is a full ground incursion, but what we are observing is that the IDF are gradually increasing their offensive in northern Gaza. They have continued to appeal to civilians in the north to move to the south of the Gaza Strip for their own safety. Meanwhile, humanitarian aid still continues to enter the Gaza Strip. This is in coordination between the IDF, our partners in Egypt, and around the world to ensure that civilians do get their aid. You can hear another bombardment of rockets coming in somewhere in the country. But with regards to humanitarian aid, there is a huge concern that the aid will be taken by Hamas terrorists and not distributed to Palestinian civilians. Yesterday, civilians stormed a UN warehouse to get to the aid. One of the agreements that Israel has tried to push forward is that we will inspect aid trucks coming in to ensure that no fuel or anything that could be used as a weapon against Israel. Yeah, booms all around me. So this was a bombardment towards the center of Israel. You are living this live with me as I record this. More booms. We say it's just after 2:30 Israel time, which means they are pretty much right on schedule. Yeah, a lot of booms surrounding me. You might be able to hear them over the very anxious dog that is barking. So let's continue. The IDF also on Friday shared evidence that Hamas has built basically their terror headquarters, their whole infrastructure underneath Shifa Hospital. Now, we've been telling people for years that Hamas embeds themselves within their civilian population, and nowhere is it, we're still hearing bangs, nowhere is it still more evident than Shifa Hospital. The IDF showed an illustration, the actual evidence they've given to other international intelligence organizations, showing that underneath the hospital is a metro of tunnels, including the headquarters with offices and weapon storage facilities. Now, you've heard a lot in the media, especially social media, about the issue of fuel, the issue of food and water coming in. The New York Times announced over this weekend, and the New York Times are not very friendly to Israel, that Hamas has stockpiled a significant amount of fuel, medicine, food, and water supplies in their tunnels to last several years. Hamas have received billions. The Gaza Strip has received billions in international aid over the years, and yet the people of Gaza continue to live in poverty. Who is responsible for that? Hamas. They have a massive real estate portfolio and have spent their money on weapons and war while the people of Gaza suffer. So when we tell you that our war is not with the people of Gaza, it's not with the Palestinians, it is with Hamas, and for good reason. Now turning to the United Nations, sorry, a little bit frazzled because it's not very easy to continue to do this while there are booms and sirens all around. Let's continue with the United Nations. On Friday, the UNGA voted on a Mauritanian-Jordanian-sponsored resolution. Nowhere in this resolution does it mention the atrocities of the 7th of October or the now 239 hostages that are being held by Hamas in the Gaza Strip. The resolution was passed condemning Israel's actions in Gaza. Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, Gilad Erdan, said that it's now very, very clear that institutionalized anti-Semitism is well entrenched in the United Nations. The Czech foreign minister went even further, saying that it's time that her country withdraws its membership of the UN because of their systemic anti-Semitism and their inability to condemn a terror attack which cost the lives of 1,400 Israelis. Meanwhile, Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, who we brought you the story last week, said that these events don't happen in a vacuum, was spotted sharing a laugh with the Iranian foreign minister. We don't know what the joke was, but we heard the Iranian foreign minister say, "Well, I'm not dead yet." And as our ambassador to the UN said, he said it's like inviting a pedophile to a kindergarten conference. Prime Minister Netanyahu found himself in a lot of controversy over the weekend, where he tweeted out a tweet on X blaming the security forces for the failures that led to the October the 7th atrocities. He had to withdraw that after he was vehemently criticized by the opposition leaders, who said that we are now focused on war and it's not time to blame the security establishment. He offered a rare apology. The IDF confirmed earlier today that the number of those being held hostage in the Gaza Strip is now at 239. Just a short while ago, Fox News said that a high-ranking Israeli official had traveled to Doha in Qatar over the weekend to try and talk about the releasing of the hostages. This was made possible with the help of the United States. And last night we were all horrified to look at events as they unfolded in Dagistan in southern Russia, as a pro-Palestinian mob broke through the airport, broke through the police line and bayed for blood, demanding to take the Jews and Israelis. Very, very frightening. Now, this follows news that Russia hosted a delegation of Hamas members in Moscow last week, and according to Hamas, Russia and China will be studying the events of October the 7th. It's really beyond the pale. But back to Dagestan last night, it was scenes reminiscent of a century ago in Russia, where Jews were hunted down by a baying mob trying to lynch them. At the moment, any flights from Israel to Dagestan have been rerouted. And those are your top stories. This is Israel at war. This is our life on a daily basis. But just remember, if you want to read all of our content, view our videos, please do so on www.layoftheland.online. Our YouTube channel is at the Israel Brief. You guys know what to do. Like, share, and subscribe. Our Facebook community is at Lottle Site, and we're on Twitter or X at Lay of the Land 5. I am a frazzled Rolene Marks after all the booms and bangs, and I will see you tomorrow.